Ever catch yourself doing something you promised you would never do again? A habit you said you would break? A decision you knew was wrong? A person you swore you were done with? It feels like you're watching yourself on repeat, even though you know better. But your brain isn't working against you. There's a real reason you fall back into the same patterns, and if you stay with this video until the end, you will finally understand how to break the cycle for good. You ever feel like you were living the same mistakes in different versions of your life? Same problem, different day. Same outcome, different situation. It feels frustrating, almost unfair. But this isn't about intelligence or willpower. It's about how your brain is wired. Your brain cares more about comfort and predictability than it does about growth. The familiar feels safe, even when it isn't. That's why people stay in relationships that drain them. That's why you overspend even when you are trying to save. That's why procrastination feels easier than taking action. You are not choosing the mistake. You are choosing what feels familiar. Inside your brain is a small structure called the amygdala. It reacts to anything unfamiliar as if it's dangerous. Even positive change can feel threatening simply because it's new. Your brain would rather choose a familiar problem than an unfamiliar solution. This is how patterns form. Your brain builds shortcuts. Each time you react a certain way, that path gets reinforced. The more you use the old path, the stronger it becomes, and the harder it becomes to change. Imagine walking the same trail through a forest for years. The old path is smooth, open, easy. Trying to create a new path means stepping through branches and rough ground. It feels slower and more uncomfortable, so your brain takes the old trail, even when the new one leads somewhere better. Take a simple example. If you embarrassed yourself once while speaking in class years ago, your brain may still treat public speaking like a threat today. Even if you are more mature and capable, your brain holds on to the old memory more than your new reality. Or think about relationships. You may promise yourself you will choose differently next time, but when someone shows up with familiar energy, your brain responds before logic can. Familiar feels comfortable. Comfortable feels safe, but safe and healthy are not the same thing. Here's the key. Nothing about this is permanent. Your brain can be rewired. Patterns can change. The moment you understand how your cycles formed, you gain the power to break them instead of reliving them. Have you ever wondered why you only realize a mistake after it's too late? It's not that you can't see the problem. It's that your emotions react faster than your logic. Most repeated mistakes begin as an attempt to feel better in the moment. The human brain is drawn to immediate relief. Loneliness makes you reach out to someone you shouldn't. Stress makes you fall back into habits you regret later. Fear of failure pushes you into procrastination. You are not choosing the wrong action. You are choosing the quickest way to soothe an uncomfortable feeling. When you are stressed, overwhelmed, or tired, the part of your brain responsible for smart decision-making slows down. Survival instincts take over and push you toward whatever brings the fastest comfort. That's why you slip back into patterns even when you know better. You are not failing, you are reacting. Uncertainty also plays a huge role. Even positive change feels uncomfortable. Choosing a healthier relationship feels strange at first, because it doesn't match your old emotional patterns. Starting a new routine feels awkward because it hasn't become familiar yet. Your brain mistakes unfamiliar for unsafe, even if the unfamiliar is better for you. Another trap is identity. When you tell yourself things like, "I always mess up," or "this is just who I am," your brain accepts that story. The habit becomes part of your identity, and your identity becomes harder to challenge. And behind nearly every repeated mistake is an emotion you haven't faced yet. Loneliness, fear, doubt, shame, stress, old memories you never resolved. It's easier to fall into an old habit than deal with the emotion beneath it. But the moment you label what you feel, the pattern weakens. Saying, "I'm not reaching out because I want them, I'm reaching out because I feel lonely," gives you clarity. Saying, "I'm not procrastinating because I don't care, I'm procrastinating because I'm afraid to fail," gives you power. Labeling emotions slows the automatic reaction. It gives you a moment to step out of the pattern instead of falling into it. And that small moment of awareness is the first step out of the cycle. You don't break old habits by forcing yourself to be stronger. You break them by making the new path easier than the old one. Here's how the brain works. It always takes the path that requires the least effort. So, if the mistake is easy and the better choice is difficult, the mistake wins every time. Your job isn't to force change. It's to create conditions where choosing better feels simple, natural, and accessible. Start by making the better option easier to reach. If overspending is a pattern, delete saved payment methods so spending takes more effort. If your mistake is late-night scrolling, charge your phone away from your bed. If you want to build healthier routines, set your environment up so the right choice is always visible and convenient. Motivation fades, but environment shapes behavior without effort. Another powerful tool is the pause. When you feel yourself slipping into an old pattern, take a 5-second pause and one slow breath. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? This tiny interruption gives your logical mind a chance to join the conversation. You can't change a pattern you don't notice. The pause brings awareness. Replacing habits is far more effective than trying to remove them. If scrolling helps you cope at night, replace it with something calming, like stretching or reading. If you use food to deal with stress, replace the reaction with a walk or a distraction. Your brain will return to old habits if you leave an empty space. Fill the space with something healthier. Micro-commitments help too. Instead of telling yourself you will change everything at once, commit to making one different choice today. 1. Small commitments slip under your brain's fear radar, and consistent small wins build confidence. Identify your triggers. Every repeated mistake has one. A feeling, a time of day, a certain type of person, a memory. Once you know the trigger, you can prepare for it. Insight creates control, and most importantly, be kind to yourself when you slip. Guilt doesn't help. If you punish yourself for every mistake, your brain associates change with pain and runs back to the familiar. But if you respond with understanding, I see what happened and I can adjust, your brain stays open. Change becomes possible. Breaking a cycle isn't dramatic. It's subtle. It's steady. And once it starts, it becomes easier every time. What if the version of you who breaks the pattern isn't far away at all, but already forming inside the choices you're making right now? Change doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with awareness. Once you see your pattern, you can't unsee it. You are already transforming, even if the results feel slow. Think of yourself like a GPS. When you miss a turn, the system doesn't give up. It simply reroutes. Your brain works the same way. The mistake isn't the end. It's a moment for redirection. But most people freeze after a mistake. They sink into guilt, or shame, or self-blame. That's the moment that keeps the cycle alive. Change often starts with something small. A pause before reacting. A moment of honesty. A 2-minute effort that interrupts your usual pattern. And those small choices reshape your identity from the inside out. Procrastination is a good example. The old loop might look like stress, avoidance, more stress, guilt, and eventually burnout. But the new loop begins the moment you say, I will do just 2 minutes. That tiny action redefines you. Over time, those small moments build self-trust. And once you trust yourself, you naturally choose better. There's no expiration date on change. You can become someone new at any age. Your patterns are not your destiny. They are just old strategies your brain outgrew. Every pause, every moment of awareness, every small act of courage is building the future version of you who breaks cycles instead of repeating them. And that version is closer than you think. What if your brain wasn't sabotaging you this whole time, but trying to protect you using the only methods it learned in the past? Your brain tries to keep you safe based on old experiences. If your past taught it that avoiding discomfort kept you safe, it avoids discomfort. If your past taught it that challenges were dangerous, it pulls away from challenges. If your past taught it that comfort is safety, it repeats the same soothing behaviors, even if they hurt you in the long run. But here's the turning point. The brain updates through repetition, not pressure. Every time you choose differently, even in tiny ways, you are teaching your brain a new rule. You are showing it a new way to protect you. This is neuroplasticity in action. The brain changes based on what you consistently do, not what you intend to do. And it begins with awareness. Awareness opens the door. Pausing gives you space. A small new action builds a new path. Repeating the action strengthens it. And eventually, the new path becomes the one your brain prefers. That's how habits shift. That's how mistakes fade. That's how cycles end. And here's something important. Noticing a mistake, even while you're in the middle of it, is progress. Awareness always comes before change. The pattern is already weakening the moment you recognize it. So, instead of saying, "I messed up again," try reminding yourself, "I'm learning what the pattern looks like." That small shift takes the shame out of the experience and turns it into growth. Your repeated mistakes don't define you. They are just outdated survival strategies your brain is ready to outgrow, and you are already teaching it something new with every small, intentional choice. You are not stuck because you are flawed. You are stuck because your brain has been repeating old patterns it learned to survive. But patterns can be rewritten. Every small choice teaches your brain a new story. Keep choosing awareness. Keep choosing patience. Keep choosing differently. You're already breaking the cycle, even if you don't fully see it yet.